Hi and welcome back to the AQA GCSE History Conflict and Tension in Asia of 1950 to 1975 revision series. This is episode 3 and we're looking at the ending of the Korean War. In June of 1951, the Korean War was now beginning to reach a stalemate in the early months of 1951. However, the peace talks had failed to reach an agreement over the exchange of prisoners between North and South Korea. The peace talks had failed once, but they began to try again in 1952, but yet again they failed to make any further progress and fighting in Korea continued. In November of 1952, President Truman was being replaced in office by Eisenhower as the new US president. Eisenhower desperately wanted to end the conflict in Korea. By March of 1953, Stalin died and the Soviet Union was left without an obvious successor. This meant that the Soviet Union policy in future was uncertain and made China and North Korea, who were both communist, uncertain and had less confidence in the Soviet Union. In July of 1953, due to this and the uncertainty of the peace agreement was finally signed and agreed and Panmunjom in July of 1953. The UN had demonstrated its power by taking effective joint action in Korea. But it had only been able to act because the USSR had boycotted the Security Council. In the conflict, the USA lost 30,000 troops and had to increase their defense by spending between $12 and $60 billion. However, it had successfully prevented communism from spreading into South Korea. The USSR and China had also begun to develop a close relationship, which helped China gain respect of its bordering Asian countries. It also had to secure Korea as a buffer state. Despite this, China had suffered around 500,000 casualties, which had made the relationship with the United States much worse. This resulted in a loss of trade and increased support for the rival Chinese government in exile. This impact on Korea was disastrous. There were 1.3 million casualties, including many civilians. A significant portion of the country's industry and agriculture was destroyed. Neither side had gained a united Korea, which was fighting for. The USA and the UN both supported the nationalist Chinese government, who were in exile, and the islands of Formosa, which was in Taiwan. The relationship between the USA and the USSR and China were extremely complicated, and there was a danger of further conflict. In 1945, the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, known as SEATO, was founded. This was like the existing organization NATO, which was an alliance of anti-communist states in Europe. This increased the tension between the United States of America and the USSR. So that's the end of episode 3 of the AQA GCSE History Conflict and Tension in Asia between 1950 to 1975 revision series. Next episode, we're looking at French rule in Vietnam. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.